Okay, so counting here. Okay, we're looking at something here that some people are talking about, and I know Koinonia Ministries or something had something about this. Other people are doing it. Counting the Omar. Okay, they're talking about this situation, the countdown to Pentecost from Passover. Okay, and it's where is it now? See, now I lost it already. The counting the Omar. Okay, these 7 times 7 weeks, 49 days plus a 7. Okay, well, I really debate that too. That's from the high annual Sabbath, not from the weekly Sabbath, I don't believe. Okay, so you end up with a different day already. And this is part of the problem. Now, I was looking this up before, and we're going to read this one first. How come they didn't recognize Jesus on the garden road? How come they didn't recognize Lazarus at the dinner party? For it says in 1 Corinthians 15, this is actually 15, 52 and 53. For this corruptible must put on incorruption. No, we won't have gray hair anymore. Okay, and I'm there. Okay, this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality. See, a lot of the problem, we got this Canaanite thinking. The Orthodox Jew still believes to this day that the Spirit hovers around for 3 days. Zechariah 14:21, I'm not even going to go there. In King James says, no more Canaanite, not trader, merchant, occupation, what other ones are saying. Okay? And we're not immortal now. We need to be resurrected. Okay? And they talk a little bit about that, but they don't really want to let go of this idea that we're mortals now yet. Okay? Now, Matthew 27, 52 and 53, some people cover this a little bit. The best one I actually saw online was a fellow group that does some missionary work to the Mormons in Utah. But he covered more of this aspect from the why it's not in the other Gospels is Matthew is a gospel to the Jew. So he's going through everything here, outlining everything from taking the vinegar to everything, his legs not being broke. He's fulfilling the Torah, the Old Testament, right to the exactness of it. Okay, but if we read here, 51 and 52, got some shadows here on the sun here, lights over here, my goodness, I am so disorganized. I apologize for my senior technical abilities here. I'm only half blind, I guess. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. Now, people talk about that. It's in the other Gospels. Okay, they cover that. Okay, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. Yeah, they split open. Okay, so the great earthquake. Okay, these things happen. Okay, but let's go read here further. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose. Most people don't want to read this. They teach stuff, but they don't want to cover this. Okay? And came out of the graves after his resurrection. So he resurrected on the day called First Fruits. This is part of the Passover. If you don't understand, the Passover is a high annual Sabbath. Different people pat themselves on the back about the Saturday, seventh day. Are they really a Sabbath keeping? Because the high annual Sabbath, yes, annual Sabbath, rest day in Hebrew, after his resurrection, and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. This is what startled people and even the centurion, okay? They saw earthquakes and stuff happen before, but not like this. And they went into the holy city. And some people like to teach that they rolled out of the graves, these above ground graves. And what, they rolled up the hill into the city? Get real. And appeared unto many. Okay? But people maybe wouldn't recognize a lot of them because some people think they're just recently buried. Yeah, well, maybe the guy on the thief on the cross, he didn't beat Jesus to heaven. Okay? So we need to deal with this. Okay? He didn't immediately go. This day, I'm saying to you, this day, you will be in the future. Jesus is 3 days and 3 nights, full 3 days and full 3 nights. Not from Good Friday to Sun Resurrection Day. That's very debatable. Okay? Now, 1 Thessalonians, I'm going to go to there. Otherwise, I might stop this thing, have to start it over again. My wife helps me a little bit, but I'm not very good at this. I apologize for this. Okay? I am trying to learn this. Let's go to Revelation. We'll go to Revelation 14, verse 4. Yeah, this really walks with Jehovah's Witnesses' little bubble. Okay? They're 144,000 sometime in the future. Well, let's lead it. Revelation 14, verse 4. These are they which are not defiled with women. Some people think it's a future situation, some virgin things. No. We're all going to be youthful virgins again. Because when we're resurrected, we're a new creature. We're not the corruptible old man. Okay? For they are which virgins? These are they which followed the Lamb, whereso he goeth. These were redeemed from among men. Get my camera down there. Being the first fruits. Read it. Being the first fruits unto God. Okay? You go with Revelation 7 and talks about the 12 times 12 tribes. That's 144,000. Then it talks about the great multitude. That's who we are. We're the next event. What we're trying to do is fit. Most people have 2 feet. Try to fit 2 feet into one shoe. It does not fit. Okay? No. Every 1,000 years. Psalms 90. Every 1,000 years. Enoch was in the first 1,000. Okay, trying to find Corinthians here now. No, Thessalonians. T's are all together. I don't want to stop this thing every time. Okay, here's an interesting number. We were at Revelation 14, verse 4. People say the numbers are just randomly put in. I really question that. Acts 16:11. Guys got very interesting teaching about King James. Acts 16:11. They went by the mountain, which is now 1,611 meters high. And King James, very critical, was printed in England in 1611. Like, this is not circumstantial. Okay? Now, 1 Thessalonians 4:14. Instead of Revelation 14, verse 4, we're going to read 1 Thessalonians. This is chapter 5, starting over here. But verse 14. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, so them also which slept in Jesus will God bring with him. What did we read in Matthew? They were asleep. He resurrected them. They're brought with him. Some people don't want to believe that even Enoch or Elijah went to the third heaven. Well, even Ephesians 4 says what? The highest heaven. There's other indications. And Psalms 68, he came with how many chariots? There wasn't just one chariot that took Elijah up. Okay? Just because you didn't see the rest of them. Okay? We got to read things in context, line upon line, precept upon precept. What's being taught? The young fellow, I believe he's from Hamilton, Ontario. Can't remember his name. Got a Minute. That's his YouTube. Got some interesting teaching there. Okay? Jacob was 77 years old when he married Leah. Well, Psalms 90, Israel is now 90 years old. 77 years old now in May this year. Okay? That's a year after the April 8th, 2024 solar eclipse, which formed the capital A. I believe that he said he will put signs in the heavens. We need to be on his calendar. The Gregorian calendar starts from his approximate birth. He fulfilled the prophecy at his death and resurrection. People think it's, one guy says to me, it sounds Mormon. Well, maybe they do have a few odd things correct. Okay? Like, we're so, come my way, come my way. Peter got out of the boat and had to get baptized. That's another whole issue. They're baptizing 1,400 people in Oklahoma now, but people don't want to look this up. Okay? I can go off on tangents, run down rabbit trails all day long. But we have to study precept upon precept and line upon line, correctly, rightly dividing the word of truth. Not just pluck a verse out of context. Only Jesus came from heaven, went to heaven. Well, Elijah didn't come from heaven. But see, in their mindset, it's even more reason why nobody has gone to heaven. Really? Where did the resurrection go to? Okay? Let's go. Some people don't want to say it's in the Old Testament and different things. Psalms 90. You can read it. Here we're in Daniel. I got a problem with my eyesight, problems with my phone. Here, Daniel 12. And many which slept in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. Well, that's Revelation chapter 20. It warns about the second death. Yeah. If we're not resurrected and caught up earlier, we'll eventually be resurrected after the 1,000-year reign. Okay? And we're going to have to answer. Revelation 20, the reference to one resurrection that's in context of the chapter, I believe. Lazarus and other people were resurrected too. Like, deal with one pastor says, just believe and you'll never die. Well, Lazarus believed. He walked with Jesus, was a friend of Jesus, and he died. But he got resurrected on the fourth day. Why? Because he put it in their orthodox faces that he is the resurrection and the life, and resurrected him physically. But then we turn around and say, oh, well, of course he died again. Well, you will not find that in the scriptures. How come he left from Bethany? Where was Martha's house? It's there. We're telling people, believing you'll never die, but Lazarus believed and he got to die a second time? That's foolishness. Okay? They want to teach chapter 9. Here we are, chapter 9, 26, talks Messiah. And they take it out of context, totally out of the whole context, and say that's in the future, some sort of thing happens in the future, and the covenant is broken. Really? Like, give it break. No. Because we're trying to fit both feet into one shoe. He didn't just come as a little babe in the manger. That's a whole issue. Hanukkah is Mary met Elizabeth. 9 months later, you have the Feast of Tabernacles. What was that really all about? There's no sheep in the high country of Israel in December. Okay? We are being taught so much stuff, and people think they can walk in his ways without leaving things behind. Hey, we're carrying so much baggage along, and then we think we have insight. Okay? I was going to go to Zechariah chapter 14. Okay? Malachi, in the Hebrew type Bibles, are actually placed in a different position here. And there's the word Canaanite. Read it. Now, if you read some of your other modern versions, you'll have trader and merchant. It's not talking about a person's occupation. It's about the traditions and doctrines of the Canaanite. Okay? 3 times mentions the Feast of Tabernacles here, but we're not even taught it. Feast of Tabernacles. 3 times. If a teacher wrote something on a blackboard 3 times, or a whiteboard nowadays, okay, 3 times, you better remember it because it's on the exam. Okay? Here's living waters. Yeah, there's live freshwater fish in the sinkholes of the Dead Sea coming from Jerusalem. This is the time frame we live in. Okay? How do you think they're living under Gaza? They have fresh water. They try to flood them out. They got fresh water running from the mountains, and they're probably growing mushrooms in the dark underground. Okay? But what I was going to say here is Zechariah chapter 14. That's 13, 14. We'll go up here. Talks about the different things. Okay? Hey, I used to keep cattle too. There it is there. Okay? And, okay, here's the verse. And Lord my God, okay? See, I'm trying to look around over my, here, the phone, get the phone down here. And all the saints with thee. What? Read it through. There's no resurrection from the Mount of Olives, but that's what they're trying to teach. Talks about the Mount of Olives right there. Okay? The saints come with him. Well, the ambassadors are already chosen at the third heaven marriage supper to reign with him for 1,000 years. They will have to be at the Feast of Tabernacles. And we're teaching that we've got to have the third temple first. Well, let's read this one. And the branch, that's Zechariah chapter 6. The branch, who's the branch? And he, I kind of believe that should be capitalized, but, and he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Lord. Even he shall build the temple of the Lord, and he shall bear the glory. Who's that? The branch. After he comes, not before. What are we being taught? Oh, they want to teach Matthew 20, was it 24? We can go there. That Matthew 24 is somehow in the future of some dietary thing on some future third temple. Well, let's read it. And because, there it is. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Now, I prefer the King James Big Bible big time for different reasons. And this is one of the major verses I go to. Iniquity, not just lawlessness. Iniquity is what we do knowingly and willfully. We've been set free to go in his ways. Knowingly and willfully transgressing his written word. Not the laws of the land. Okay? It's like the which way is the wind blowing today. and many shall wax cold. The other versions don't have wax cold. Why not? How does the wax in a candle turn cold? The light's gone out, or it's gone too far with the light. It's talking to those that say they believe. Okay? And we can go on this. And that shall endure unto the end. The same shall be saved. Okay? Get my camera here. Verse 15, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Now what they're teaching is, it's a repeat of the one temple that was destroyed in the Maccabean Revolution, okay? When they had a dietary thing on the temple, on their altar, okay? But notice this, when you therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet. What is an abomination? It's a transgression, knowingly, of his written law. What is the 10th commandment? Thou shalt not covet. What do you think causes love to wax cold? Right there. Evil is being called good right from the pulpit. And you get a tax deduction on it for taking things from people by force or by deception? That's a form of stealing to his house. But they don't say nothing about it because it's being called good. Good Christian stewardship. Really, this is an abomination in the places that most people perceive to be a holy place. Yeah. It's happening right in front of us, right now. That's what that April 2024 solar eclipse is all about. We need to be on his calendar. The Gregorian calendar, approximately, is from his birth. No, he became the second Adam at his death and resurrection by his shed blood. Okay? The Hebrew calendar, I've debated that for years, but they don't want to discuss it. Read it. It says, in the king's 40th year. 40 in doesn't mean exactly just 40. It could mean 40 years and 11 months. The Hebrew calendar is not accurate. The Gregorian calendar is not accurate. In fact, in Daniel 7, he says the system that changed the times and laws. What really happened here? Most people don't understand the difference. The Passover is a high annual Sabbath. I know all kinds of Adventist people. They pack themselves on the back and are full, like a lot of people, of covetousness. Yeah, the love waxes cold. Are they truly a Sabbath keeper or just a Saturday, seventh day keeper? If you're truly a Sabbath keeper, then why don't you want to learn about the high annual Sabbaths? And I can go deep in that. Who did they pack off to Australia? Oh, yeah. They don't want to put these things aside. In Revelation 14, the resurrection of many, that's part of the three angels' message that they promote. But they're not teaching the whole thing, are they? Most don't want to cover this. Everything's in the future yet. Where are we at in history? Back to the Omar. That's where we started at. I believe that already happened. The young fellow from God a Minute, I should remember his name. I talked to him a little bit. He actually had about Jacob was 77 when he married Leah, okay? And 7 years later left with Joseph and the entire family at 84. There's a timetable there. We're talked about Jacob's trouble. Israel is 77 years old this year in May. Wow. I remember people last year were saying stuff. I said, no. I remember they were saying stuff before the solar eclipse. I said, no. Solar eclipse comes first. Okay? Where are we at in history? But we're the fig tree. I just learned. I was in Israel only once. I saw a hologram of the third temple. There was no wall to touch, but the pastors don't want to even discuss that. Okay, I wonder why. And the fig tree actually, in an optimal year, has 3 harvests. Well, duh. From my farming days, I had to have good moisture. You need wind to pollinate the crop. I had done extra fertilization, and I had 2 lentils in every pod. That's back then when I farmed. I don't know about now. Maybe they've learned how to do this more often. When Mount St. Helens went off, I guess it left the dust, and they got more beneficial crops growing again. Isn't that odd? Yeah. But we're not told about the volcanoes going off. We're not told nothing. Okay? And it's just, the fig tree has 3 blossoms, 3 harvests. The one already happened. When's the next one? During the Feast of Trumpets in the fall. The spring feast has already happened during Passover and Pentecost. That's already done. What's the next one? Feast of Trumpets. And the last harvest? Yeah, 3 in an optimal year, good year. Well, is that after the 2 witnesses are sent? I kind of lean toward that. Okay? Why are the witnesses sent? Because the great multitude is mostly from those that are in the grave for the last 1993 years. Darkness and deception comes first. Okay, let's go to Revelation 11, chapter 11. Okay? Darkness and deception comes first. So he is merciful. He sends his 2 witnesses. And people have to get serious about this. Not lukewarm. Not, oh, whatever. Okay? That's why he sends his 2 witnesses. And it talks about it. They're martyred after preaching for 3.5 years. Now, some people like to take this and say, oh, wait a minute. There's a day as a year. And it's not actual people. Really? Okay, maybe it was in another Bible. After 3 days, okay, all on the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry. And after 3 days, half the spirit of life from God entered into them. So God restored them. And they stood upon their feet. Great fear fell upon them which saw them. Okay? So, we can debate who that is. Who didn't die? Moses died. 3 places it's recorded. He died. Okay? So I tend to lean toward Enoch and Elijah. Okay? We can debate that some. But they're resurrected. To go where? Back to some cave again? No. Okay? See, people don't want to believe in the power of God. Psychology is a form of godliness, denying the power. Self-esteem is just a play on the word pride. Yeah. And people say, I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, I was in seminary and I walked away from it. Read a book by Dave Hunt called Seduction of Christianity and Beyond Seduction. I met him in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He was only here 1 time, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Okay? You think I don't know what I'm talking about here? Yeah. Zechariah chapter 5, we can go back there. Young pastor, half my age, doesn't want to read it. Interrupted me and my wife. He was accusing me. Yeah, really. But he doesn't want to read it. The missile's going off. It's not a featherweight. Gives the dimensions. A talent of lead. A talent is heavy. Big number of lead is heavy. From Shinar, Iran. That's happening already. Okay? I was going to go to Revelation chapter 20. Okay? And it talks about the false prophet. Oh, see, they got this all into the future. Okay? What did Daniel 7 say? A system that changed the times and laws. And 21, a new heaven and a new earth is the 8th event. How many candles on the menorah? I asked a former Islamic fellow. We had a good conversation about some things just last night. And he thought 9. No, that's 9 on the Hanukkah. They put a couple more on there. The menorah, have we got a menorah around here? Somewhere, maybe. It has 7 candles. They refer to the center candle as Jesus, Yeshua. How many candles on each side? Well, because there was a catching up on 3 on each side of the cross. Not one. Not just a second time. He walked with Adam and Eve in the garden. How many times has he come before? Well, as far as I'm concerned, he's come every 1,000 years. That's what Psalms 90 says. I saw there. But the rest of the dead lived not again until 1,000 years were finished. So the 2 witnesses are sent before the end of the millennium, this millennium we're in now. We have darkness of deception first, then they're sent, and 3.5 years later, they're martyred, but resurrected. That takes us into the next 1,000 years. And the rest of the dead lived not again until after we're finished. The first resurrection, this is in context with the chapter, I believe. Okay? Different people were resurrected, so don't think it's only one time. Okay? And it talks about, we can go through that. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. Okay? And the sea gave up the dead, which are in it. Okay? So don't worry about it if you're not in some proper bodily shape. Okay? Don't matter. Okay? Yeah, we shouldn't desecrate the human body, but lots of things happen. And it talks about till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. Okay? Cast them into the bottom. So, yeah, here's something else. Unless you're the beast and the false prophet, I wouldn't worry about being tormented forever and ever. Okay? It talks about the second death. You're dead, you're dead. Okay? Yeah. So, enough of this fear-mongering. That's what causes people to be held in a religious bondage. The latter state of the first is worse than the first. And they're afraid. They're acting out of fear. Oh, you better say all your hallelujahs the exact way, because, oh my goodness, what if I made a mistake? Okay, what I was looking for here in Revelation 20, I believe, is those that are beheaded, the martyred. I saw the souls of them which were beheaded. There it is, right there. Okay? So they're beheaded. They're martyred. Now, you think God just leaves them? No, they're caught up when the same time the 2 witnesses are caught up to be at the marriage supper of the Lamb. I struggled with this one quite a bit myself. Okay? They're going to be at the marriage supper of the Lamb. We read Zechariah 14. The saints come with him. You understand with the whole, we're trying to fit our preconceived ideas into 1 or 2 events. No. It's like, again, like trying to fit 2 feet into 1 shoe. It does not fit. It talks about in the scriptures. You're building on another man's foundation. You forced a piece into a puzzle. It looked not too bad at the time. Hey, there was major denominational splits when Israel became a nation again in 1948. Why? It sounded not too bad, this kind of replacement theology stuff. Now people think, oh, they're going to have some other different salvation. No, it's by his shed blood. Not all of Israel is Israel. You read Zechariah 14. How come the northern is different from the southern? Because there is differences there too. Okay? Tel Aviv is party town. Tell me, don't. And how many abortions have happened? Yeah, why do you think they have the political problem? Okay? You can be Arab and you can be in their parliament. We're being taught they're totally discriminating. Hey, the bus driver didn't care, but he had food on his kid's table. A lot of wars have fought over food supply. Where are we at? That's why the Russians don't want to live under Moscow, Putin control. My mother come from there. I know it. They took my grandfather and uncle captive. The food went back to Moscow. You can be Russian, but you don't want to live under Putin, Moscow control. The frontline soldiers are being taken by gunpoint from Siberia. That's why two of the young boys risked the Bering Sea in a rowboat to get to Alaska. Oh, lots of politics here. But we're just like everything's in the future yet. Really, who taught that? Hey, there's different groups that teach that different things. Well, let's discuss it and debate it. But no, they don't want to discuss it and debate it. Okay? Revelation 13. Did it already happen? I believe it happened. Napoleon took two of the popes captive. The former Islamic guy, he didn't know that, and I was discussing it, and I said, well, how come the Swiss Guard is at the Vatican? He's at the Pope's funeral. I saw it. Can't believe half what you see online, by the way, or on mainstream media. They edit all kinds of stuff out. Okay? But the Swiss Guard is at the Vatican for years. Why? Eyes to see. Because Napoleon, I believe, took the popes captive. Yeah. So I believe pretty well that Revelation 13, from time of Napoleon and Biden, like him or not, kissed the signet ring of the first Jesuit pope. Oh, I remember people saying, oh my goodness, this is the end. I said, no. We're on his schedule. Okay? All of us are going to have to answer to him. We just better hope we're in the marriage supper of the Lamb. It's going to go a lot better for us. Friends that have already died, hey, they're more apt to be resurrected than we are here. Caught up. Why? Enoch had to be counted worthy. Do we really plead to God to make us worthy? Oh, by his shed blood. And we do whatever we want? That's iniquity. How come they're getting rebaptized? Started 2 years in a row in Texas, then Florida, it was warmer. Come up the coast, and now it's in Oklahoma. 1,400 adults. But they don't want to rebaptize me. Guess what? I did it once as an early teenager. I thought I had to be a perfect little person before I should do that. I kind of finally realized that's not correct. And then later on when I learned about the Sabbath, yeah, that particular group wants you baptized again into their particular group. Something like Mormons and all these other groups. Okay? And so I had done that. When in Israel, it's kind of a traditional thing in the Jordan. They were reluctant to do that for me, and I'd already talked to the group that was at the resort area on the Sea of Galilee, which I didn't know was a freshwater lake. I should have realized it. Okay? The Mediterranean happens to be twice as salty as the Atlantic. It's kind of landlocked too, but they have no problem producing drinking water from the Mediterranean. I wonder why. Okay. By Dead Sea salts? Who said it was all 100% from the Dead Sea? A lot of this is marketing. Okay? On and on and on it goes. Okay? There's Mystery Babylon, the harlot, the great. Okay? Well, how back does some of this history go? Well, Cain killed Abel. What really happened there? Is that where they got the Canaanites from? I just heard about Jericho. Rahab the harlot, was she actually forced into this activity? Could well be. Maybe that's why God was merciful on her too. We don't have the right to force things on the people. And the ones that are doing the forcing are going to be the stumbling. They're the ones. It's not woe unto them that stumble. I say that at a friend's funeral. It's not woe to them that cause the people to stumble, thinking they can have their homemade wines. Yeah. We call it fetal alcohol syndrome. There was children at the wedding. Do we really think a Nazarite made the water into fermented wine? Really? He clearly says it's for the ill and for the elderly, not for children. What are we doing? Think we've called evil good because we like it that way. We don't want to change our lifestyles. We don't plead for him, and that's the power of God. He didn't have to get baptized. That's the power of God. Peter became bold after he got out of the boat, and after he got dunked, he got rebaptized. We're taught it only started with John the Baptist. Really? How many times did Solomon get baptized? Well, we're not quite sure. But every one of his wives, pagan wives or whatever, that he married for political reasons or whatever. So I'm not condoning all this stuff. But every one of them had to go through the mikvah tank to go in the temple. That's how it was. Now the temple's curtains torn down, everything else. We don't need a third temple. And he says he will build it in the future. For what? For the ambassadors to be there in attendance. We're on his history, his story. Get it? Yeah. My name's Al. You want my phone number? I'll give you my phone number even. I put it in comments and everything. Here. Write it down. Call me. My name's Al. 403-830-4124. Calgary, Alberta. I try to reach out to people. Very few of them call me back. Mark Blitz from Tacoma, Washington. I think he's still holding on to maybe mid-trib, that there's a rapture. Okay. Mid-trib, pre-trib? No, I believe that already happened. Let's discuss it. But a lot of them, from their Orthodox Jewish background, are going to post-trib. Really. As if there's no resurrection. As if there's nobody taken up to heaven. As if the ambassadors are chosen down here. Really. Herbert R.W. Armstrong is no longer around either. His son had a falling out with him too, Garner Ted. There's groups around, splinter groups, that teach this stuff. United Church of God. Some are from the East Coast. They don't know, I don't know quite where they're sitting with some of this stuff. Okay. I try to discuss, and most of them don't want to discuss anything. It's their way or the highway. Why is that? Because of self-esteem and pride. The arrogance is appalling. Okay. One guy was on the radio. He's not now. He's gone. He's departed his ways. I wonder why. I had a few talks with him. His own younger son, I didn't know which one, they couldn't remember which one, said the chariot separated Elijah. I thought he took him up. He had to, so kid corrected me. Oh, I'm not above studying it and looking. But Psalm 68 says many chariots came and he was with them. I think that's what he's talking about. We only saw the one chariot that separated him. He didn't go up with just a cloud and float off to some place to be with some cave where Enoch has been by himself for 1,000 years. This is foolishness. It says, put aside childish things. Let us go forward, Acts 16:11. And by the way, you go from London, England, it goes right to the solar eclipse. We're across at Cairo, Illinois, nicknamed Little Egypt. Where, yeah, it happened in 1811 too. The Mississippi water ran backwards. He's putting stuff in front. Here, I'm into Amos. Amos 1, what am I looking for? And Zephaniah 2 says Gaza. You may see I get another Bible once in a while. My wife uses it now too. This is part of the problem. I get things underlined in one Bible and then I'm using another one. Okay? But let's go to something else here. In Isaiah 29. Okay? You want to talk about Gaza? Who forced who to even come up with Gaza? Hey, Mr. American. Every little dictator country, California should, and every province in Canada. Yeah, I'm Canadian. And what's the history here? Not last war in Canada was not 1812 in Quebec. They hung Louis Riel from Montana, 1880 in Regina, Saskatchewan. Like, let's get the history right. Okay? Yeah. I've trucked all over most of the USA. Okay? Isaiah 29, I'm looking for. It's kind of an interesting verse here I came across here, and I had to check it out myself with some other people. Yeah. Woe to Ariel. Read it. Woe to Ariel. Ariel who? Okay? Gives a pretty good indication here in verse 10. For the Lord hath poured upon the spirit of a deep sleep. Closed your eyes. What happened when Ariel Sharon was forced to give up Gaza by UN and US? Look at the mess now. Yeah. The Arab nations don't want to let the people out. They created a political nightmare because the people thought they were going to annihilate Israel. But they're still there. They're still there. By the way, Israel as a nation, have they really ever lasted as a complete nation beyond 80 years old? That's kind of alarming in itself. Okay? But Isaiah 29, I believe, happened in our lifetime. This is in Isaiah, the Old Testament. So this what is it? Ravi Singer. You want to talk? Did this happen or not? Are you not acknowledging Israel as a nation or what? Are you not acknowledging this actually fulfilled? And in Psalms 90, people say it's no mention of a rapture or catching up. Where's Psalms? We can go to it. Isaiah, Psalms, Proverbs, Psalms, Ecclesiastes. Psalms 90. Let's go to it. Okay? Excuse my... Hey, I shut this thing off one time before and I couldn't get it going again. So I'm going to keep going. Here, Psalms 90. For 1,000 years, 1,000 years in thy sight is but yesterday. Yeah, a day is as 1,000 years. How many days in creation? We're on his schedule. But verse 10, the days of our years. Now, some people think that's our personal age. Some people do not make 70. What are you going to say to them? Some people are over 90. He celebrates when he gets his driver's license yet. He had to move out of the city because the nursing home is $900 a month less. Okay? I don't see him much anymore. And if by reason of strength there be 80 years, yet their strength, labor, and sorrow. Yeah. For it is soon cut off, and we fly away. Fly away. On some burden? On some airplane? They didn't have airplanes back when this was written. Fly away. But people have the audacity to say it's not in the Old Testament. What foolishness. Put aside childish things. Go forward. John 7:17 says, when we shall do his will, then we shall learn the doctrine. Yeah, he's able to correct us if we're wrong. His arm is not so short. But put aside. Go forward. But we're afraid. Oh, what if I'm wrong? So we're held in religious bondage. What do you think a lot of people are held in these places? The guy came out of Romanism into JWs because he didn't believe in eternal damnation, being tormented forever and ever. Well, interesting thought they have. Is it true or not? People just write it off. Well, I happen to agree with it. Different groups agree with this. Okay? Because what does the Bible say? But they're held in that grip. Dare to come out of it. Why? Oh, what if they're wrong? Oh, and then they get the social stigma. And yeah, the colonies used to do that a lot more so than they used to, but now they kind of come out of that a lot. A lot of them are left. I know some of them. I work with some of them. Okay? The Mennonites, Hutterites, and Amish. The Amish didn't go modern. They have horses. Hey, there's a place and time horses actually work quite well. But you know how much feed a big workhorse will take? At least my dad said these when you shut off the tractor, you're not feeding it. Okay? Okay. I've been around. A lot of them get a diploma from some higher education. Now they think they know so much. Huh. Guy's got 3 years of business. He didn't know what an escrow account was. Didn't know how to. And most Canadians don't know how to take a company public. I learned some of it in New York. Why? Because we're not taught. We're not taught correctly. Oh, Canadians think they're real smart. Invented the telephone. How come the U.S. had Bell Telephone? What's the history of it? Okay? No, it just goes on and on and on. And we're on his schedule. We need to wake up. Wake up, not woke. See, that's how people take it out of context. Twist the words the way they want to hear it, the way they want to see it. I'm doing okay. Apathy is a major problem, but who cares? Until it comes to our own doorstep, most people don't give a rip. It's not my problem. 40 or 50 minutes for Calgary Fire Department to rescue, if the boat's not busy on the Bow River, from Bears Paw Reservoir. How come the county wasn't called to the meeting? I've talked to the county. I might hope to get up there. The big drones are over 100 kilograms now for agricultural use. I can maybe pluck the kid out of the water or the ice in minutes. But you gotta have to have one around. Maybe at the tree farm. Maybe at some agricultural place. But do people want to help and do anything? Well, it's not my problem. Until it's your kid. The local police officer, his kids might even go to this local school here. You think when the city bus comes over the hill, doing maybe 40 or 50K on an icy hill, and the 30 zones ahead, you think the bus is actually going to get to 30 when the kids are crossing in front of them? Good luck. But what do I work at? I'm trying to put sand in our tires. There's been equipment around. They do it in Europe on the rear end. I'm trying to do it at the front end. I'm talking to a trucking company that wants to maybe try this for me, okay? But I don't have none of us have the capability by ourselves. People think they inherited wealth in there. They $7 million of the property, and they're going broke. Why? They haven't got a clue what to do with the property. It's like farms, and who owns a lot of the farms? Hey, Mr. American, how come the farms in the Ukraine on the New York Stock Exchange? You wonder why you're involved with the war? Follow the money trail. You put a dollar value on an old equipment that maybe should have went to the scrapyard and say you're helping. You got equipment from Jordan, had the modern radar for the radars. Okay? Yeah, I do know what I'm talking about. Because my mother and grandmother come from there. People are so arrogant. They got some diploma. Yeah, business and everything. Preachers. Come off our high horse. Paul had to get kicked off the high horse. And the goad, the stick to make things, that was a stick to make the oxen go faster. I learned it from a guy, very political guy in town here. I know I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff. Okay? He's from Poland, him and his brother. I saw his brother lately at a function. The one fellow I know, he made a good donation to Israel for their emergency services. Yeah. I saw some of the political. How did I get there? Oh. Hey, I believe we should celebrate the month of conception. JW teenagers, I showed them that. Their parents don't know what to say. Well, learn about Hanukkah. Hey, go forward. Okay? Use the progressive. No, there's all kinds of stuff. They're twisted saying progressive. Go forward. That's Acts 16:11. Where are we at? How many minutes have gone here now? Gee, almost an hour already. Okay. We'll go for a full hour. Time goes. Okay. Are you having fun yet? No. I'm just a toothless old. Yeah, and some people actually told me that. And half my friends are either gone or in nursing homes, all doped up. I'm doing fasting right now. Again. After the one big function we had. Okay. About once a month, depending on the weather. It's hard to do, very hard to do in Canadian cold weather. We need calories. Okay. But yeah, I've gone several weeks, just like the Lord did, just like Daniel did, just like other. And yeah, maybe we should get down on our knees and our faces a little bit more because we're become so arrogant.